Hello, everybody. Welcome to the June version of Lunch with the Mayor. I am happy you are tuning in, and hopefully we can have a great conversation here. We have Jonathan and Nick here, and we're going to have a little conversation. They are from an organization called GLO or GLOW, or Get the Lead Out,
Yes.
right? So we'll talk about that in a moment. Again, as always, we'll go through some past issues. We'll talk about some other items that are happening, as well as calendar items. So as you may notice, we are on a slightly different camera today. This is a new camera, so if things mess up, it's my fault, and that's okay. Appreciate you being flexible with us. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into the kind of interview phase here. Thanks for being here today.
We appreciate you having us.
Yeah. Do you want to just go ahead and give your name, your position, and then talk a little bit about the organization?
Absolutely. As you mentioned before, we are with the GLOW team,
Okay.
but we work for General Dynamics Information Technology,
Okay.
otherwise known as GDIT. So I'm a project manager for our Indiana community clusters, and I know that Nick is also a project manager for some of our Ohio community clusters. But the GLOW initiative is through EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay.
And what we do is we've been contracted by them through this GLOW program to provide technical assistance to water utilities all across the country.
Okay.
We've reached over 88 communities to date and have a goal of reaching 200 in total.
Gotcha. So 88 communities already, 200 in total, but we're first in your heart, right?
Absolutely. We are here to help get that lead out of Columbia City.
Yeah.
So there'll be a number of ways that we're going to be doing that going forward.
Okay. So the EPA is the one that's basically contracted with you to be an expert in the field for us, and,
That's
and
right.
for smaller communities, right?
That's right. Our team has different experts, engineers, scientists, funding subject matter experts that can help to, again, all collectively get the lead out.
I gotcha. Okay, and I know we talked about this before we went on camera, but what's your territories that you work on?
Absolutely. So I'm in Region 5.
Okay.
And so Indiana is my state, so I have a cluster of communities. Nick has some as well in Ohio. And so it's across the United States. It's not just the Midwest or Indiana, but certainly we're focusing our efforts here today.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so if I were John Q. Citizen and I'd say, hey, there's these people from not our community and they're from this organization called GLOW, what should I know? What is GLOW? What is the purpose of GLOW? What should citizens know about what you guys do for us?
Right. So what we're doing is accelerating the removal of lead service lines, removing barriers to doing that, and providing that technical assistance. So you might ask yourself, well, what is technical assistance? Mm-hmm. One of the things that we do is help with identifying service lines.
Okay.
So we will be out in the community toward the end of the month, last week of June into the first week of July, door knocking in areas where there are many unknown service lines remaining.
Okay.
We also provide community engagement support. So we will be at First Fridays this evening. We'll have a booth set up with activities, information. So definitely come check us out.
Awesome. And actually, it's interesting that you guys are here. As I was mentioning earlier to you, is we actually have a lot of things happening tonight at First Friday, where the GLOW team is going to be there, as well as our comprehensive plan team will also be there tonight. So make sure you stop at some of those booths if you're going to come out to First Fridays, if you're watching this on the live stream. If you're watching this on the YouTube stream later, if you will, you've missed it, and I'm sorry. But hopefully, if you're watching it now, you stop by the booths tonight at First Friday. So, who funds GLOW?
Absolutely. So just to answer that, it's a no-cost program to the utilities and to the residents of Columbia City. It's funded through the federal government, through the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, otherwise known as IJA.
IIJA, yep.
Yep. And so it's a great program. It's already been funded. There's no exchange of funds for that.
Okay, very good. So it's our tax funds, but it's not our local tax funds.
Correct.
All right, okay. So explain why that should matter to residents. What is the benefit of GLOW working with our city utility, with our water utility?
Well, there's a few benefits. The first is we are helping the utility in ways that it may expand beyond what their capabilities are at that time. So, providing support with door knocking, providing access to, get funding or to help them get funding through the
Sure.
state revolving fund, so that they can, fund the replacements of those service lines. And like I said, we're really working with the utilities, helping support them. They have to get all the lead out. There's, a date, 2027 comes to mind of when it all has to, the inventory at least has to be complete. So that's our first step, is we have to make sure that we're helping them identify their inventory. There are about 2,500 remaining unknowns in Columbia City. So the initial inventory was already completed, but we're here to kind of help them complete that at this stage.
So, if you've watched the Lunch with the Mayor in the past, and you've seen some of our past episodes, you know that I've kind of talked about this a little bit with the lead service line piece, but I think it's important to kind of reiterate what's the purpose. Like, I've talked about the idea of, obviously Flint, Michigan created a scenario for lots of our communities across the country, and looking at the need to replace lead lines. But why is it important to remove those lead lines from our community?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, Flint, and there's other communities as well that have been affected, obviously Flint being one of the larger issues on a public, big scale. There are many adverse health impacts from having lead in drinking water systems, especially affecting the elderly, pregnant women, and those who have pre-existing health conditions, certainly.
Sure.
So children as well.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing, is it's really being done for the health and safety of the community.
For the long-term kind of
Exactly.
scenario. Okay. And then what activities will GLOW be doing in our community at First Friday? You talked about that for a moment. And then into the future, what should residents expect from GLOW, and what activities does that look like?
Absolutely. So, we mentioned we'll be at First Fridays this evening. We'll have a booth set up. There's a self-survey identification, self-ID survey going on right now.
Okay.
With the water utility. So we'll have postcards with QR codes on it that will link to the survey.
Okay.
So that if residents would like to identify their own service line without us coming into the home, they can do that.
Okay.
It's a very easy self-guided form. There's a spot they can upload a picture of their service line, and it'll just show, what the material is. So if it's lead, we'll be able to see that, and if it's another material, we'll also be able to see.
Do they contact our city utility for that, or how do they get those?
Yeah, so the survey, we'll have postcards tonight.
Gotcha.
It's going to be linked to the website that's being worked on as well. And there may be a message that goes out with the water bills every month as well.
Yeah.
So that's in progress, but it is live now. So, we're doing it with other communities in Indiana. We've done it in other states, and it's proven to be a very successful way of capturing data, especially for those folks who may not want visitors in their home, and it's
Sure.
just a quick way they can go down to their basement or their wherever their service line is and identify it on their own.
Okay. And so, of course, as always, if you have questions, if you're watching this on the live stream and you have questions for Nick and Jonathan, please put them in the chat, and I'll try to get to those here in a moment. There is obviously a kind of simmering lack of trust for all layers of government, but specifically for the federal government. And so, if I'm John Q. Citizen, who maybe doesn't necessarily trust the government, right? Why should residents trust GLOW with their information?
Absolutely. So the information that the survey is collecting is very, very basic, and it's done to identify, obviously the resident's address, their name, their phone number, and that information is stored simply for the purpose of the record of what their service line is,
Gotcha.
attaching that all together. So it's very, very basic, but we have a team, like I said, of experts that are, some are engineers, scientists, funding subject matter experts, and many of us have had numerous years of experience in doing this work, and so we know what it takes to remove the barriers, and we're excited to be here and help out Columbia City Water Department.
Excellent. Well, and I think, one thing for me, I think also residents should know is that we're being mandated to do this. We're being mandated not for GLOW, but we're being mandated to handle the lead service lines in our community. And so one of two things is going to happen. Either A, we're going to come find out what your lines are because we're mandated to do it, or B, you're going to help us accumulate that information and potentially save yourself some utility money that we would have to spend either way. So it's helpful, I think, in that way for people to understand this is not big government coming in and checking on what's going on inside your house. It's not that. It is instead, it is a mandate, yes, but it is something where we have to find out one way or another what your service line is made out of, right?
That's correct.
Is it made out of copper? Is it made out of lead? Is it made out of steel? What is it made out of, right? PVC, whatever. So I just say that to say, consider that, and it's been, I don't know, a year or so now since we've sent out the letter to notify individuals to say, hey, you may or may not have lead, and we're trying to figure that out. And we did the initial survey, as you mentioned, and so now we're kind of going a little deeper into that survey now, and that's what GLOW is there for. So, who should residents contact with questions about GLOW or about the lead service line stuff?
Absolutely. So those questions can all be routed through the Columbia City Water Department.
Okay.
And we'll be, in close collaboration with them. So if a resident reaches out, has a question, and it's something that they feel that our GLOW team would be best suited to answer,
Yes.
they can reach out to us, and we'll get the information back to the water utility. But any questions would go through the water department.
Okay, very good. Is there any other information that John Q. Citizen should know about you guys, about the project timeline, what they should expect?
Absolutely.
All those things.
So it's the project timeline is approximately 9 to 12 month
Okay.
period of technical assistance. The biggest thing for community members is they'll likely see us out there door knocking, doing field work, potentially potholing later down the line, and then doing line replacements after that. But when we're door knocking, we do leave door hangers with a QR code and the phone number to the water utility.
Yeah.
So if a resident is at home or maybe they just don't feel comfortable, answering the door, letting us in, they can call that number. Someone from the utility will come out and do the service line inspection, or they can scan the QR code that links right to the survey. So that's the biggest thing, is getting into the home to look at simply the service line. That's the main reason we're there, is to make sure that we're identifying that material.
Yeah, and along that line, just so residents understand, the reason why you may need to go into the home
Yes.
is because the service line comes into the home.
That's
and
right.
so instead of digging up your whole yard and trying to find where that service line is, because we don't always know where the service line is.
That's true.
It's easiest because that is usually where it's attached somewhere in the home to basically feed water to the whole home.
That's
and
right.
and so I think that's a really important thing. The other thing I think is important to know for residents is you're not going to be going to every home in Columbia City.
No.
And you're not going to be going to all of our water customers.
That's right.
So how do you pick and choose?
Absolutely. So we've, like I said, been working in close collaboration with the water utility, and they've shared with us their current inventory. So we know the homes that have already been identified. So we're looking at about just under half of their total number of service lines need
Sure.
to be identified. So it's not everybody, and as we go forth and we identify more and more, that inventory gets updated. And so if you've already submitted your service line information, and the utility there's a record of that, the utility knows what it is, we don't need to go out, we already know what you have.
Yeah.
So that is a great point that you make, that it's not every single door is going to be knocked on, and not every single home that does have lead, and so
Yes.
we hope to not find a lot, but we certainly will be looking for it.
Yes, hopefully we will not find a lot. We'd love for those expected or supposed lead lines to end up not being that, because
Yes.
that ends up, for every lead line, we're probably saving thousands of dollars
Absolutely.
potentially. So, and again, generally speaking, this is an unfunded mandate for us that we have to figure out a way to pay for it, right? So just for your information, I did spend, I think, some of my State of the City address talking about the lead line issue and how it is going to be, because it is an unfunded mandate from the federal government, and while we appreciate you guys being here and appreciate you being technical assistance to us free of charge of us, for us, it's still something where the construction is going to cost us lots of money, right? And we're going to have to find a way to pay for that, and that usually comes from utility rates, right? Like that's how we pay for those things. And so it's not going to be an easy process. It's not something we asked for. It's not something we can choose to do or not do. It is something we're mandated to do. So we appreciate the fact that you guys have kind of came along with us, that the GLOW team has kind of came along with us, helping us along the way to really define where those places are, what, kind of get better information as to yes, this is, or no, this isn't a lead line, to make sure that we're not tearing up a yard only to find that line is not lead, right? And I know that's not an exact science, because you may have a lead that comes into the home, but the service line itself may not be, or whatever the case is. So there's a lot of things along the way that we're still going to be learning, and I know you guys are here to kind of help us do that.
Absolutely.
So residents or anybody watching, if you have additional questions, please shoot them right now to the chat so that we can get those answered quickly. If you don't, then I think we'll probably wrap this up. But again, I appreciate you guys being here. I know you flew in today, which is great, and appreciate that. I know you've been working side by side with our water utility along the way to really get these things nailed down and figure out kind of our plan of action. Because ultimately, as you can guess, we cannot, it's hard to estimate when you don't know what that number is, right? If we go off of the high number, which is the expected or supposed lead lines, that number is very, very high. But as we whittle that down and get the information from residents that there is less and less lead lines along the way, that helps us.
Absolutely.
So anything else that residents should know that we didn't cover?
I think something that's important to note, if we're talking about trust between, different levels of government.
Yes.
While we do collect information about residents, your phone number, your name, to get in touch with you if the water department needs to go back and talk to you about your service line, that information is not passed along to the state or the federal government. All the information that they receive is your address and your service line material.
Great. Well, and again, as a reminder, not every citizen in Columbia City has city water.
Right.
And there are county residents that also have city water. And so it is something where when we talk about that, we don't necessarily talk about citizens as much as we talk about customers. And there is a difference between those two things. Someone can be a citizen and a customer, but they don't have to be a citizen to be a customer, or they don't have to be a customer to be a citizen. So anyways, gone off on a little bit of a track there, but thank you both.
Yes,
thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate the work that you're doing here in Columbia City. I know our water department appreciates the work that you're doing as well, and we'll look forward to seeing you first Friday tonight.
Yes, we look forward to being there. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
And we look forward to working with the community here in Columbia City.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Thank
it
you
very
very
much.
much.
So we're gonna go ahead and keep working. Thank you. So we're gonna keep working on that and make sure that that we get all those lead lines specifically addressed and taken care of. Now, stick with me, because I'm going to try something that I've not tried before, and that is to try to get my camera to focus on me. Looky there, I did it. It works great. See hand signals. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. Okay, well, anyways, I told you, we're working on a new camera. It doesn't work exactly perfect, but we're working through it, and that's really an exciting thing. So I'm going to do this, and hopefully that gives me what I need in the process here. Okay, there we go. Okay, hopefully that works. Okay, so past issues. Eagle Park the landscaping has been put together earlier this week. We have new trees, we have new shrubs, we have new flowers that have been put in there. That's really, really cool. If you've not driven by recently, take a look at it. I think the Grass seed should be going in either today or early next week, I believe. So they're working on that right now. But again, that landscaping, they had to get that in first before the grass. So that's good. Next Level Trails grant, the Blue River Trail extension to the south. That is, the work continues on that. We did have a bridge that we installed in the over the Blue River near Radio Road. So that has been, I know we've gotten a lot of comment, I shouldn't say a lot, that's not fair. We've gotten a handful of comments that they don't like necessarily the, they don't necessarily like the color, or they don't necessarily like that it's kind of pre-rusted, I think is what it's called, something to that effect. So I understand that. That is the color. That is the way in which we don't have to paint it every 2 or 3 years. That is the way in which it will weather correctly through different, well, for decades to come. We are expecting that whole trail is going to be completed by the time that school starts. So expect, though, very shortly, expect to see Main Street go down probably after Old Settlers, I think, but we'll see. Main Street go down to 1 lane, and it will be something where there will be a light at each side that will make that will kind of do one side goes, then another side goes, and back and forth like that. I will say, if you decide to detour, Line Street should be perfectly fine to remain open, unless for some reason they're building trail over there. I would also say, if you choose to bypass Main Street and go on Whitley Street, you need to go, remember, Whitley Street is slower, and we will have increased police presence there to ensure that those residents and those kids are taken care of, and the traffic is maintained in the proper way. So that's that. Our Pell, the US 30 Pell study that NDOT is doing, that has not been, I mean, I think it's completed. We're just waiting for it to come out to the public. So as soon as that does, I will share that on my social media pages. The test kitchen, which is sort of being, I guess, called now the shared kitchen, it is, again, basically completed. There is a few more pieces of equipment we have to get, but ultimately we're planning on programming happening toward the end of this year. Again, as I say, for every one of these, please sign up for Rave notifications. That is our notification system that goes directly to your phone or to your email, depending on what you choose. I think there could also be phone calls a part of that, but that gets you notification regarding the severe weather or the aquatic center being open or closed, baseball and softball games, other events along the way, things like that, street closures, etc., etc. So I want to encourage you, if you've not signed up for Rave, please do that. Just go to the city website. It's on the front page of the city website. Just click on the little thing, fill out a quick registration form that gets all your information, decides which way you want to go, and then Rave will start sending you those notifications as we send them out. So for the former jail, we are still waiting financial data on whether or not the project that we're kind of thinking about or planning can happen. So just so you're aware, we're still waiting on that. I do keep, by the way, I keep looking to see if there's any questions, and so far no questions. Feel free to shoot those on the chat, and we can kind of go from there. Comprehensive plan update, as I mentioned earlier, our comprehensive plan team will be at First Friday tonight, and they will be having some different exercises to not leg lifts and curls, but instead some different exercises that individuals can do with kids of, where, if you had money, where would you put your money for the community to improve it? What are the places that you really enjoy being at in the city? What are the areas that we need of improvement? What are the areas you love most about the city? Things like that. That will help us have an understanding of what the existing conditions are, what residents want, generally speaking, and it will help really inform our study, which lays out the next 10 to 15 years of projects and programs and things to that effect. So keep in mind that we continue to receive feedback. We do have an online survey that was rolled out a week and a half ago, I think now, maybe something to that effect, a week ago. And so we are taking those online survey results. I will post that again on my social media page as a reminder. But again, we're trying to gather as much feedback as we can, and that will help lead and guide where our comprehensive plan is going to go. Junk pickup, I believe, went well. We didn't have too many complaints and concerns about that, so we're happy that went well. And then, as you probably have noticed, there is a lot of ADA ramps, American with Disabilities Act ramps, ramp systems, if you will, that have been installed or are being installed along Line Street. Once that is completed, I believe that's when they'll actually start working on the grinding or milling and repaving of Line Street. There's also going to be a lot of other segments. I think there's 40 different road segments across the whole city that's going to be milled and repaved. So just so you're aware, that will be happening an extended period of time along probably through the next, give or take, 2 to 3, probably 2 months, give or take, probably through August. I don't know the exact date, but I'm pretty sure it goes through August. Okay, let's see, what questions do we got here? What happened with Bob Evans, and are there any plans for the future for that prime location? My understanding was that Bob Evans did not own the property, but instead a property owner owned it, and it was a scenario where they had, I don't know if they're selling the property to somebody else or what the deal is. I have heard things. I cannot confirm or deny any of those things, but I'm pretty confident what I've heard is that it could be a Valvoline oil change place. Again, I'm going to say, as I've always said, if you like that, I didn't do it. If you don't like it, I didn't do it. It's a private property owner that is working with a private company, a private business to fit a business that fits within the zoning. The zoning is general business there, therefore really any kind of business can fit in there, generally speaking. That's my understanding. Again, I can't confirm that, but that's what I've heard. So, are they planning to mill Line Street at the same time they are narrowing Main Street to one lane? So the question is, are they planning to mill Line Street at the same time they're narrowing Main Street to one lane? So we're talking about two different portions of downtown. So Line Street in and of itself, the paving is actually going to be happening on North Line Street, and then the one lane Main Street project, if you will, for the trail will be actually on South Main. So I don't know if that's helpful or hurtful. They could definitely cross paths, meaning that it could be happening at the same time, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I guess I would say it's very likely they will. But again, we're talking about milling and paving of Line Street that's going to be probably a pretty short amount of time. And I think Main Street will be a little bit longer, but not significantly longer. Like, I don't think Main Street's going to be one lane for months. I think it's possible it probably is one lane for weeks, but I don't know. So stick with me. I'll try to find out any and all information on that. Let's say it that way. So, okay, keep going. I'm going to keep going on other items that are up right now. I talked about this in my State of the City address. I've talked about this a couple of times now, but I'm going to just give you another forewarning, if you will. Not forewarning, just a notification that we have included this year in the budget and in our job descriptions and all that kind of stuff, a new ordinance, our ordinance enforcement coordinator. And the reason and rationale behind that is because we have so many things going on. We really need someone that puts a keen eye on our ordinances. And so that can be things like high weeds and grass. It can be junk metal or junk vehicles. It can be things that are being stored in front yards that are not supposed to be stored in front yards. It can be building issues that are creating either safety or aesthetic or site, poor site, if you will. So we're going to be trying to thread a needle to be helpful, that for us to be a partner, and try really hard to be the carrot, not the stick, if you know that phrase, if you will. Like, our goal of the city is to be a partner in making the community better, to making it look better, feel better, be safer for residents, have better health, all those kind of things. And that is a way we're going to do that. Doesn't mean that there won't be citations. It doesn't mean that there isn't going to be violations of ordinances and things like that. But the goal of the ordinance enforcement coordinator is really to walk alongside residents and to make sure that they're aware of the situation, of what the challenge is, right? So again, our rule is for grass, and I'll just give that as an example. Our ordinance says if grass gets to 8 inches or higher, then it is a violation of the ordinance. Why do we have that? Well, number one, there are safety issues with that. Whether it's, grass gets too high, you can't see around it, whether it's a scenario where it brings in additional rodents or things like that. There's all kinds of reason and rationale behind that, not to mention it looks terrible. And so we do have an 8-inch. Now, typically, with any kind of ordinance violation, we give them, I think, 10 days to remedy it. So if, for instance, someone has 8 inches, has grass at 8 inches, and it creates, and it's an ordinance violation, we give them 10 days to remedy that issue. So it typically will, sometimes it's mowed right away, but sometimes that grass ends up getting to 10 or 12 inches before they actually cut it, because it takes them 5 to 7 to 10 days to get that addressed. But they do have 10 days to address it. My point of saying all that is the goal of the position is to encourage a safer and cleaner community. It is to work alongside to educate the community about our ordinances. It is about actually updating some of our ordinances. We have a minimum housing ordinance, for instance, that I think was written back in the 70s that has not been updated up to this point. So the ordinance enforcement coordinator will be working with our planning and building department. They'll be working with our police department. They're officially under the police department, but they're not a sworn officer of the department, if that makes sense. So they are a citizen member of the police department, I guess, if that makes sense. So that's happening. That actually, I think, will take effect starting next week. Now, whether the individual will be out looking at in neighborhoods and stuff next week, I don't know. But I will tell you that we're going to be putting a little bit more of a microscope on, or not microscope, but a magnifying glass, let's say, on enforcing the ordinances. And then, frankly, if there's ordinances in our code that need to be addressed or need to be taken out, then that's another place that again, we can do that. Now, keep in mind, I'm going way too deep in this, but I'll just say this, that keep in mind that the way we're set up, I am the executive body, so my job is to enforce the ordinances. The city council is in charge of passing or changing ordinances or eliminating ordinances, right? They are the legislative body. So just like any law, Congress or our state legislature, the city council is in charge of doing that. So if you have thoughts about ways in which we need to change the ordinance or things that you want to see improved or maybe even tightened, depending on the scenario, then have a conversation with your city council member and see what happens from there. That's probably the best way to go about doing that. Okay, next up is a service line warranty program. The city has sort of partnered with HomeServe, and they do a service line warranty program that they provide information to all city residents. It does not mean that you have to take them up on the offer. The city gets very small amount of benefits from that partnership, but ultimately the goal is to give people another option when if they want a warranty for things like, hey, your service line like the lead line we were just talking about, right? The service line breaks and now you have to put in a new service line because it's on your side. So sewer line, now I don't want to get too deep here, but sewer, basically anything from the main back to your home is the homeowner's responsibility. We take care of the mains, but the service line is a responsibility of the homeowner. Okay, water is a little bit different. Water, we actually handle the mains up to the meter, but after the meter to the home, that is all on the resident. So again, HomeServe through this partnership, it's a National League of Cities partnership, if you will, but also a partnership with the city, with City of Columbia City. They provide certain warranties that they will cover those kind of expenses. It's kind of an insurance policy, if you will. Again, there is no mandate for residents to take it. It is just another option for you if you believe that that's important for you to cover. So just so you know that's happening, you will probably get a letter in the mail if you're a customer of ours. And that's probably all I'll say about that. If you have questions, you certainly can contact my office or contact the clerk or the city utilities office at 260-248 5100. I'm sorry, 260-248-5100. And again, if you have questions, go ahead and put them on the chat if you're watching this live stream. Also a reminder, 50/50 sidewalk program is happening right now. We've been doing a couple of 50/50 sidewalks. We've also been doing some, basically closing some gaps along the way that we have around the city. So we're doing that. But street department on the webpage there's an application program. It actually goes kind of through our office as the facilitator of the program. And we can get you kind of for lack of better words, we can get you a quote from our street department as to what that cost would be. We split the cost 50/50, and it helps you get a new sidewalk, and it helps us have a new city sidewalk. But the other side of that is it really does save us money versus a private contractor. So, downspout disconnection program and rain barrel rebate program are still in effect. You can check that on the Stormwater Department's website. Russell and Evelyn Fall Aquatic Center is now open daily. Weather dependent. As I'm recording this today, it's a little cloudy, a little dreary, but still warm. So the Aquatic Center is open now daily. I will tell you that on the week of Old Settlers, especially the Old Settlers Parade, I'm sorry, not the week, just the Old Settlers Parade day on that Saturday, I believe the Aquatic Center is actually closing that day at 4 p.m. in order to allow for the parade to line up at the Eagle Park parking lot and things like that. So just so you're aware, but Russell and Evelyn Fall Aquatic Center open daily. Check out the Fall Aquatic Center Facebook page. You can check out our city webpage as well for more information on that. The pickleball courts at Eagle Park are reopened now after we had to fix some issues that were under warranty. So we got that addressed, taken care of, and those courts are now being used again. Again, that's by the kind of by the old high school, on the former high school property in Eagle Park, right next to the locker rooms that are now basically, I think, bathrooms and some other things there. So, big news, if you're a fan of trick-or-treating and you're a traditionalist, then I have good news for you, and that is because because Halloween falls on a Friday this year, the Board of Works decided at the last meeting that we will have trick-or-treat on the Friday of Halloween. So it will be on October 31st this year. Historically, we have done it on Saturday because when Halloween falls on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, it's really, really hard for families because they don't have the next day to sleep in, because there's work and things like that. This year, because Halloween falls on a Friday, the city has decided that we will do trick-or-treat on October 31st on Halloween. That is Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. Okay? Nice thing in some ways, I think, is that next year it will be on a Saturday. And so we'll have 2 years where it can be actually on Halloween, which I think is a really, really good thing. So I say that to say, mark your calendars. I know we're in June. I know we're in early June, and I know that seems early. But in April, I received my first email about when is trick-or-treat going to be this year. Okay? So, mark your calendars. October 31st, 5 to 8 p.m., trick-or-treat in Columbia City. Let's see. Yeah, there was a notation here from Alan that NIPSCO offers a similar program, a warranty program, I believe. and so apparently there was a mailer from them as well. So again, I think from a utility line standpoint, I know I'm bouncing back a little bit. From a utility line standpoint, again, there's our responsibility as a utility, and there is your responsibility as a homeowner or a customer in that regard. And so it gives you a little assurance if you want to protect yourself in that way, if you choose to do that. So last thing I'll say on here before I get into the calendar is that there is a new City Scene newsletter that's available on our city website. Again, we put that out every quarter. They are quarterly newsletters that we put out, and there's a little bit of information from me about property taxes, kind of the I won't say an end wrap up, because I'll talk more about this during our budget lunch with the mayor session that we have later this year. But I do talk a little bit more about property taxes and figuring out what it looks like. I've been to a couple of different homeowners association meetings recently, and kind of been, I hope I've been candid enough with everybody to say the property tax issue that has occurred is an assessment issue, and it's not because our assessor is bad. It is because the assessments across the board have gone up, because a price of a new home has gone up, and the legislature set the system up a long time ago to be based on the market. And if the market goes up, then everybody's home value goes up. That's just the way that the system was set up. Keep in mind, property taxes are paid by individuals who own property, and those property taxes are support things like police and fire and parks and streets and all that kind of stuff. So there's other funding sources that I've talked about in the past, but ultimately, a good majority of your property taxes go to fund public safety. And philosophically, you fund public safety on the people that are being served in that territory, which is why it's been a property tax. But nevertheless, that is something that I do talk about in the newsletter. I will talk about when it comes to budget time again, because we do have a lot of changes on the horizon. As I mentioned in my State of the City address, and I've mentioned here, I think, in the past, the city is looking at $1.2 million less revenue than was anticipated over the next 3 years. So that's the 26, 27, and 28 time periods. We also anticipate there's going to be other things that will hit along the way, or there's other things that were not projected out that are going to hit that could also hit the amount of money coming to the city of Columbia City. While that may be welcome news to some of you, to others, it could mean that there's projects that are delayed. It could mean that there's services that are either shrunk or eliminated. It could mean a lot of things. We're still working out all the details of it, and I'm speaking very candidly to you. We're working out all the details of what Senate Bill 1 or Senate Enrolled Act 1 is going to look like. I don't think anybody is happy, just to be very candid. Speaking with legislators, speaking with individuals on all sides of the political spectrum, from the uber conservative to the uber liberal, I don't think anybody is happy with this bill. I think it ends up for the average property taxpayer, I think it ends up being like basically the equivalent to 5 free car washes. But it's going to end up costing the city, over $1 million. It costs the county $2.5 million. It costs the schools $2.2 million. So we'll see what that lands. Hopefully, okay. We'll see where all that lands. But I just say all that to say that I think that there's a lot of things coming down the horizon that are going to be different in the future than what they are right now. So that's all I'll say for right now. But check out the newsletter. There's some good helpful hints about the summer. There's some good helpful hints from our utilities. There's a section of a citizen in the spotlight that we do every newsletter, and it's a really, really great thing to get to know your neighbors or people that are working in your community. I think it's a really cool thing. So with that, I will move on to the calendar. Again, this is your last call for questions. If you have questions, please put them in the chat if you're watching live. If you are watching on YouTube, feel free to email me at rdaniel@columbiacity.net. You can call our office at 260-248-5111. My assistant will try her best to answer. If she can't answer, then we'll make sure that we try to get you to the place where you can get an answer. I've said this before, but maybe it's a good time to reiterate it. I try really hard to respond quickly to people. I try really hard, if individuals want a meeting or need a meeting with me, I try really hard to fit them in. It is the schedule is really, really crazy this month, and I don't know if it's just a matter of there's lots of things hitting. I don't know what the situation is, but my schedule is really ridiculous this month. So I try really hard to get with people and get a response back to them within 24 hours if at all possible. So thank you if you're able to give me a little bit of grace during this month. Trying our best, and again, that's why I so rely on our department heads and my assistant to try to get answers back quickly to people. Sometimes it doesn't come directly from me, but it may come from me in a roundabout way. So in any case, thanks for your grace on that. Thank you for understanding I too am human, and sometimes I mess up, and sometimes I am not as nice as probably I should be, and I try really hard to be a good face and a good representative of our community. I'm going off task here for a second, but in every department head meeting, I reiterate with our staff that that we need to be honest, be genuine, provide great customer service, go above and beyond each day, take joy in your work, and be a great representation of Columbia City. And so I continue to push those things with our staff, and I want to be a good representation of Columbia City as well. I want to do all those things as well. I hold myself to that standard. So thanks everybody for your grace in that, and for letting me go off on a tangent for 5 minutes there. So okay, so Q says shout out to the street department crew for picking up limbs and sticks. Yes, this week I believe was limb pickup. So we'll have another limb pickup. I believe it's the first week of July, I believe. Check out the limb pickup schedule on our city's website if you have questions about that. Okay. Calendar items. Here we go. Buckle up, friends. We got lots of activities, and I'm sure I've missed some. So as always, if you're watching this on the live stream or later on Facebook, and there is an event that I have not covered, feel free to put that event in the comments, and I will try to hit that at the next meeting if possible. So tonight, 6 to 9 p.m. First Friday in downtown Columbia City. Should be good weather. Last I checked, weather looks like it's going to be good. And by good, I mean it's going to be generally cool, but not cold. It should be not raining. I posted out of, I don't know, maybe wishful thinking. I posted earlier this week that I didn't think there was going to be any stinking rain. And I think I'm going to end up being lucky in saying that may happen. I've told people in the past when they've said, hey, thanks for the nice weather, that I can't take credit for the nice weather if I'm not going to take credit for the bad weather. So I'm taking a complete risk in saying I don't think it's going to rain tonight. Hopefully it doesn't rain tonight. It's not supposed to. It's going to be a great night. They have the Wheels of Whitley going on. Like I said, we're going to have the GLOW team. We're going to have our comprehensive plan team there. There's going to be lots of vendors, some food trucks down there. I'd also say if you come downtown, think about jumping into the stores. You know, if you see that food truck line that's really long, stop into one of the restaurants. You know, the whole purpose of First Friday is to encourage people to come downtown and enjoy what Columbia City has to offer. We have lots of great restaurants in downtown now, and we continue to invest in those things in a roundabout way. We have lots of good private business owners that have invested their own hard dollars into the community. And so I want to encourage you to enjoy those downtown amenities, but also stop into those restaurants. If you've not tried the barbecue place, if you've not tried Chibo, if you've not tried Tokyo, if you've not jumped in there, if you've not tried Ozara's or all the other places throughout Balbino and whoever, the different places, check them out. See what you're missing. Let's say it that way. So. Tonight and tomorrow, there are lots of garage sales apparently happening. Deer Chase, I believe, has their community garage sale. Tri-Lakes, I believe, has their garage sale going on. There is a garage sale fundraiser, if you will, that's happening on North Line Street. And those dollars go to Mission 25, I believe. So check out, if you're a garage sailor, do the loop. Go through Deer Chase to Line Street out to Tri-Lakes and come on back. A lot of places for garage sales there. I'm sure there's others too. Sorry if I passed you by. June 10th, Board of Works and City Council meetings here at City Hall. As always, Board of Works is 5 o'clock. City Council is at 6 p.m. and they are open to the public. You are free to come in if you have questions or comments or things you want to share with City Council or the Board of Works. feel free to come in. We always provide an opportunity for citizens in the audience to comment, to come up to the podium and to give their name and to give a comment or a question that they have. I do like to encourage you, if it's an issue that you want to see addressed in some ways, talk to the department head, talk to your council member. You can do that through phone, you can do that through email. We have all that contact information on our city's website, so you can check that stuff out. But if you want to come to the meeting, you can also come to the meeting. That's another place that you can do that. So let's see what else. June 10th also from 6 to 7 p.m. at Morses Park is the Morses Park Pavilion is the Be Wild event. So this is the second year our park staff have partnered with, I think it's called Indiana Wild, to show off some different animals that the Wild Indiana Wild. Sorry if I messed up your name, Indiana Wild Indiana. But to show off kind of some of those animals and really talk about being a responsible pet owner and talk about some of the uniqueness about those animals and stuff. So kind of a cool event. They're very much an animal preservation, if you will, type of organization, I believe. I probably totally messed that up, but they're a good organization, and our parks are happy to partner with them. Again, June 10th, 6 to 7 p.m. June 13th, Columbia City High School. Seniors graduate. Congratulations to all of our seniors at Columbia City High School. Proud of you, proud of your efforts, proud of your work, and looking forward to seeing you that morning at graduation practice, where we'll give out our mailboxes as we have in the past. I think it was last week we gave out mailboxes. I think it was last week. Gave out mailboxes to the Troy Center graduates, Troy School graduates. And that's the first time we've done that. Really cool opportunity to chat with them a little bit and just encourage them. And so we're happy for their graduation as well. And they also got a mailbox, so that's exciting. On June 14th, at the Farmers Market, there will be an America 250 kickoff celebration, a special ceremony at 10 a.m. on the courthouse square. So, if you're like, wait a minute, what is America 250? Well, from, I guess, unofficially from June 14th, but really from July 4th of 2025 through July 4th of 2026, we will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, of the United States of America. As you probably know, there is a time capsule here in front of City Hall that we will be opening in 2026. As a part of the celebration of the 250th anniversary. I was trying to remember the name. It's like a bicentennial or something like that. I don't remember the actual name. Charlotte Blair, if you're out there, you can correct me because I should have known what that is. But anyway, so the America 250, we're having our kickoff celebration on the courthouse square, 10 a.m. The county commissioners, I think, are giving a proclamation. I'm going to give a little speech. We'll have some historic reenactors there. And really the goal is just to bring attention to the fact that we are celebrating our 250th anniversary of being a country here over the next year. So, of course, final celebration will happen probably July 4th of 2026. So mark your calendars now, but we're excited to celebrate this monumental moment in our history. June 14th at 7 p.m., the Whitley Arts Partnership will be doing the Willy Wonka Jr. presentation. So in past years, Whitley Arts Partnership has had these kids musicals that has been Elf and SpongeBob and I'm forgetting the other ones that have happened. You would think I'd remember those things. Oh, Seussical Jr., things like that. So this year is the Willy Wonka Jr. Musical. That will happen again 7 p.m. on June 14th at Columbia City High School. That's something that I enjoy every year. And yes, Little Red will be a part of that, of course. June 15th, Father's Day. So if you've not prepared for that, please prepare for that. Happy Father's Day to all those fathers and father figures in our community that have invested in the lives of our kids, have invested in the lives of our adults, have invested in the lives of the programs that are happening in Columbia City. We appreciate all of your work. June 17th through the 21st is Old Settlers Days that will be happening here in downtown Columbia City. They have lots of different events scheduled. Of course, music every night. The Old Settlers Parade that will be happening on June 21st at 6 p.m. That comes down, so basically starts at Eagle Park, but really it starts officially at North and Main Street, at the corner of North and Main Street. And then we'll head down Main Street to the south to Ellsworth Street, and then and that's basically the sort of the end of the parade route, which is corner of Ellsworth and Main. So that whole Main Street section again. Mark your calendars for June 21st. That is the parade date. Okay, let's see. Oh, we got some comments in here. I'm sorry. Yes, have a lot of, so Christopher says American, Japanese, Mexican, barbecue, pancakes, all within one block, and more around the corner, which is true. Lots of good restaurants in downtown. He also says might want to make sure someone knows where the time capsule is located. Seen a lot of times where someone goes to dig one up, and it's not there. Yes, we are very aware of where the time capsule is. That is in front of City Hall. We actually moved it. It used to be under a flagpole in front of City Hall on Chauncey Street. We moved it a little further down Chauncey Street because we were doing the sidewalk project there, and it made sense to kind of still have it on our square or have it on our City Hall property. And so we kind of moved it there. But yes, I'll say we're 99% confident that the time capsule is in that concrete box. So again, that's probably the best I can answer that, Christopher. A reminder that June 19th, City Hall is closed in observance of Juneteenth. If you ever wonder why we have a holiday for Juneteenth and what that means, I would encourage you to look it up. It has a lot of historical nature to it. It is really the last moment, if you will, of slavery in our community, and not in our community, in our country. And so really a cool thing. Look up that history of Juneteenth. I think it's always good to be informed, and so you can kind of see what that is. June 24th, we have our Board of Works and City Council meetings again. July 3rd, mark your calendars. That is our Independence Day celebration at Morses Park. It happens every single year. It will start at 5 p.m. with fireworks around 10-ish. So again, as always, we kind of wait to see what the light situation is. You know, usually fireworks will start between 10 and 10:15, but there's always music down there. There's vendors down there. Usually we have bounce houses, all those kind of things. So make sure you mark your calendars July 3rd for Independence Day celebration at Morses Park. July 3rd is also, I believe, the first Friday in downtown. I think that's the case. I'm going to have to double check that. But there's a lot of things happening on, you know what, I think that's supposed to be the 4th. So just ignore what I said there. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be July 4th is the first Friday in downtown, because I believe that's a Friday, whereas Independence Day celebration on the 3rd I think is a Thursday. So in any case, that will be the next first Friday. July 11th is our next lunch with the mayor, so mark your calendar. I know you will. July 11th at noon will be our next lunch with the mayor program. July 11th through the 17th is the Whitley County 4-H Fair happening here in Columbia City. August 1st and 2nd, the musical Curtains, so it's called Curtains, is a musical, at Columbia City High School. That's going to be put on by the Herald Company Performers. It's a new acting group, if you will, here in our community, made up of community members. 7:30 p.m. on both August 1st and 2nd at Columbia City High School. Again, you need tickets, so purchase those in advance. August 16th through 17th, the Mitzpah Shrine will be having their 71st annual charity horse show out at the Shrine grounds. So check out information on Facebook on that, or I think the Shriners also have a website, I believe. And then August 21st is the Whitley County Golf Outing at Eagle Glen. You can contact, I'm sorry, I said Whitley County. I meant the Whitley Chamber. Whitley County Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Center is having their golf outing at Eagle Glen, so check that out. You can contact the chamber for more information or to register with the team. with that, I hear the bell going off, so that means I've hit my time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I of course welcome your feedback on whether you like the new camera, whether you don't, all those kind of things. We didn't have any glitches today, knock on wood, so I'm thankful for that. I'm excited that hopefully we've gotten all the technical issues worked out, and we're able to really do these better and now and into the future. So thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're again tuning in either here live stream or on YouTube, you can contact my office 260-248-5111 or rdaniel@columbiacity.net. That's my direct line. You can also send me a message on Facebook on my professional account, which is the Mayor Ryan L. Daniel, or the City of Columbia City, Indiana Facebook page. Enjoy your summer, everybody. I think it's going to be a good one. I hope we get a little more heat than what we got right now, but I don't want a lot of heat, so beggars can't be choosers in that regard. But I do want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Remember, our next Lunch with the Mayor is July 11th. Have a wonderful summer, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.